Hi guys, welcome back to Creative Frenzy. So, talk about being in a mood. At the moment, I am in a mood. So I felt like doing some backgrounds in my art journal. As you can tell, they're very moody pages, but I'm having fun with just using fingers. Not even a paintbrush. This is gesso with just black paint, so it looks more gray. I'm just going to use that with my hands. I'm going to apply it. You don't even need a brush. So that is what I'm doing right now. Sometimes when you're angry or upset, sometimes you got to get in there and paint away. If the camera's a little shaky, sorry about that guys. As you can see, you can get different textures just with your fingers. You remember finger painting when you were a kid, right? Only this way you can just pretend it's art. And that's okay. So again, you're going to get messy and dirty, but that's fine. Finger tool works just as well, like Pam always says at the Paper Outpost. So you always have your fingers with you, and you can use those for whatever you need. So I'm just going to quickly dry this. I won't pause the video, but you can go through quickly, fast forward if you want to. I've sort of progressed from really, really dark to lighter and lighter. I try to go through, just keep going until you get to a lighter spot in, however you're feeling in your process at the moment. It's a good way to get some of the energy out of your system. Just get rid of it and not have it clog up your brain. So that's basically what I'm doing. I got these little fine line bottles at the dollar store a while back. I just fill it up with some regular white and black acrylic paint, add a little bit of water to it to make it more of a fluid, so I can pour it like that instead of splashing it everywhere. It makes it a little bit easier. And then if you have one of these, great. If you don't, that's okay too. You can use your fingers, but I kind of like the texture that this brings to it. If you don't have anything like this is from needles, like pins for sewing. This is the container that it comes in at the dollar store. So it's got these little ridges, which is perfect for creating, marks and things like that. What I like about it is that it leaves thicker paint behind, so you can really kind of play with it. And I would just tend to leave it at that, just wipe it off on there. I'm going to blow dry again, or blow dry. I'm going to dry it again, so feel free to fast forward. Again, this the paint that dries, the gloopier stuff, that'll stay behind, and that is what'll give you the texture. Again, I'm not using any brushes. I was starting to use one, but it was making my page too wet, so I just used my fingers. It's just easier to control. So I'm at the point where I'm just using my little watercolor. They're gelato knockoffs, basically. So they're water-soluble crayons. So you just, pick a bunch of colors that you feel like using, and then you go from there. I haven't used purple yet. But I like how it just sort of, just spread it around. I don't care if I get paint on things. Just wipe it off. And then I just dip my fingers into my dirty water jar, you know, and then just, and because this paint is not all the way dry, this is going to make a really nice lilac kind of color. So I'm just going to play with it, and then you can see the colors in behind and the stripes that this piece has left behind. You know, experiment with different things. But the idea is to use your fingers and to get in touch with, you know, your supplies and to sort of see what it does. It's smooth and it's wet and it's, you know, it's got some raised edges. I like that, you know, some of it is dry and some of it isn't. You can control how much movement there will be on your page, which is really a lot of fun. And it's messy. It reminds me of being in kindergarten again. You know, it's a lot of fun. So again, you know, it's just using different colors, and just don't be too concerned where the color ends up, because your fingers will move it, right? So it'll look like watercolor and paint, and it'll have this whole painterly effect, and it'll feel nice and smooth under your fingers, so you can manipulate the color where you want it to go without overthinking it. And that's the whole idea, is to just sort of go with your feeling and just don't think about what kind of result you want. You know, just get the feeling out on paper, in color, in texture, in, you know, the way the paint feels under your fingers, and just have fun with it. And just, you know, have a baby wipe handy if you need to. If not, you know, don't worry too much about it. I don't always use everything. And it's kind of fun to just make a mess and not, you know, if you want some darker colors in some areas, I feel it like it needs a bit more gray. Go over the areas where you want to. Just don't overthink it. Get your fingers wet and just move the color around where you want it to go. And because you put the gesso underneath, your paper is not going to get too waterlogged, so you can have time to play with the colors and just sort of, you know, move it where you want it to go so you can see the texture underneath. Don't be too surprised by, you know, how you feel in the moment, because it all just tends to come out when you need it to. Especially when you're angry or upset over something. It could be something really simple as, you know, you had an argument with someone and you feel like, you know, the world at the moment is not quite right. So this is what I tend to do, is just to have some time alone with, you know, finger painting basically. But you come up with some really kind of cool ideas this way. You know, it's not overthought. You get different textures, different. My paper is quite wet, but look at this one. You know, that's just paint, and not even the other stripes from a tool or whatever you use. Again, please feel free to fast forward through this if you want to. And again, as my mood shifts from being in a bad place in my mind, you know, the more colors and the more I play with these pages, the more, like this has some offcuts from sticker pages. I just put them in here instead of recycling them. Sometimes you get some interesting textures. But, you know, the more you shift through different colors and different pages, you can see your progress. You know, you get yourself out of that funk that you are in at the moment, and just sort of help yourself to a better place in your mind. And I kind of like being able to come to the studio and do that. You know, even if you don't have a lot of these supplies, you can just use regular paint. And, you know, even if you don't have an art journal, grab some wax paper, throw some paint on it, and, you know, have at it. It doesn't have to be an art journal or even, you know, art paper or whatever. That's a little bit too much of it there, so I'm just going to take some of it off. It's messy. It's what I like about this. It's because I'm in the mood to be messy. That's why, you know, it's when you're angry, you need to get it out of your system. So that's what I'm doing. Again, feel free to fast forward. So I'm going to show you without any other tools or whatnot else. You know, before I used this and before that I used one of these. I got this through Plaid. It's got all the different edges and things like that. So you can create your own. You can use a comb if you want to. You can do whatever you feel like. But, you know, now I'm just going to just put some different colors down. This orange paint is really, really watery, but that's okay. In this case, it's not a big deal because I can just mix it with some other colors. So I was doing some jelly printing the other day, and I really, you know, as much as I enjoy the brayer and the roller and stuff like that, it doesn't always give you the satisfaction of getting hands-on kind of thing. So I'm not sure how the sticker pages thingy is going to look underneath here, but you know, we'll go with it. I'm not too concerned. At this point, I just want to get color down and just feel the paint. But you can see how you can just control it and just make it all blend in or stand out in different areas. So that's what I like about using your hands. No fancy tools needed. You can blend, you can see the texture of each finger brush stroke, you know. And if, you know, it's too much there, too bright, just go that way and just move some of it to the other page and make streaks and strokes. Just have, you know, some playtime to get rid of the angst or anger or sadness or whatever you're feeling at the time. And just, you know, you can see it's two different colors altogether, but, you know, I don't know, there's something I like about the two pages being like that. Then you can get your gelatos out or your water-soluble crayons. They're not gelatos, these ones, but, you know, and I'll put some red in there. What I like about these, they go over, you know, on top of this no problem, which is great. You can just clean it off and away you go. And if your paint is already dry, you can just wet your fingers and get back in there. And see how I've progressed from, you know, the really dark colors to much lighter. I mean, my background is still dark because, you know, I'm in a bad mood, so it's kind of nice to just sort of express that in this way. Oops, my fingers are getting stuck. But now we've got a little bit of pink going on with the yellow. And if you find that is a bit too whatever, you can just sort of just keep playing with it until you're happy with the result. And even if you're not happy with it, you know, leave it as a background for another day when you're in the mood to really, you know, give it a title or add something to it. But just to have some way to decompress when you're, you know, feeling sad or angry or upset about anything, whatever the case may be, just to sort of deal with it in a more constructive way. So like I said, you know, I went from really, really dark to a little bit lighter, more pinks and purples here, and then lots of green here, but I love the texture that it comes out with. This is, again, lots of texture. I have no idea if you can see that. This one, very Monet-like, you know, the colors and things like that. And then this one is the latest one. But I like just taking different color stories and just putting it on paper. And now I can use these pages for whatever I feel like. So yeah, not my typical video, but you know, like I said, when you're in a mood, you just need to get it out in paper, and this is probably the most constructive way I can think of doing it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and you'll find your own way to create your blank pages into moody pages for whatever you need it to be. So I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.